What's happening, YouTube? It's Simon 466 Cards. What do you do when you find a raw card that shouldn't be raw? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to walk you through my thought process and the tools that I use to figure out the best course of action in this situation. But let's get to the origin of where this started. This came from friend of the channel, Neo Cards and Comics. He posted on his YouTube page, "Why is this card raw?" and then a link to an eBay listing. And there you see it is a 2018 Panini Prizm, Blue Prizm out of 199 Luka Doncic rookie card, and it is in fact raw. This is one of Luka's higher valued rookie cards, and so you'd assume that it would have been sent for grading, but this copy has not been graded or has been graded and cracked, and it is now raw. And that is something that Mike Junkwax here also talked about on his channel, and I figured between Mike talking about it and Neo talking about it, let me do some investigation and some digging. And so the first thing I want to do in a situation like this is use GemRate, which I recommend to everybody out there. They have a universal pop report function that shows you the number of times a particular card has been graded at all of the grading companies. And you can see this Blue Prizm card has been graded 259 times, even though this card is only serial numbered out of 199. You can see here it's been graded by PSA 118 times, 137 at Beckett, and 4 times at SGC. So clearly any and all copies have been sent to PSA, Beckett, and SGC for grading, which makes the fact that this version being raw even more peculiar and makes me question even more why it is raw. Because now seeing this data, I firmly believe that it was formerly slabbed by one of the 3 companies here. And if we look to see which version or which grade it might have been, maybe it's this PSA 5 that exists. There's a PSA 6 and a PSA 7 and then some PSA 8s. Those could make sense to crack and send to auction as raw and maybe get a higher value than if they were in a PSA 7 or 6 holder, right? So that's the first process or thought that I had in this process here. The other thing is, for this card, it's serial numbered out of 199. So we know the exact serial number. You can see here it is 25, and it's listed in the list in the eBay listing here. 25 out of 199. And so knowing that it has a unique identifier, we can use the sales history from eBay through a tool like Market Movers. And so that's what I've done. It's a very convenient function. You can see here I've put into their sales history function 2018 Prizm Blue Doncic and then 25 because that's the serial number we're looking for. And voila, what do you know? It used to be an SGC 9 and it sold at auction in August of 2023. So about a year and a half ago, where it sold for 5.3K. And then sometime over the last year and a half, it was cracked and resent to auction via ComC, it seems like. And it is now up for auction. And so we have a lot more information now. We know that this is a heavily graded card. We know that it used to be an SGC 9 and it was cracked out of the SGC 9 holder. And we know that it is up for auction and ending on Thursday at 9:33. And so now the question is, what do we do about this if we might want to profit from this information? Well, everybody else out there thinks this is a raw copy, but we know that it formerly was an SGC 9 copy. And so what we can do is now look at the sales history of the various prices. So that's what I've done here in Market Movers. You can see that PSA 10 sold for 14.5K, BGS 9.5 sold for 6.4, the PSA 9 sold for just under 6. There is a raw version, which is important because this is a raw copy, sold for 4.25K, but that was in 2024. And then a BGS 9 also sold for 6.2K, but that was also in 2024. So I think we can ignore this BGS 9 comp because it's from 2024. So let's hide this, and you can do that by hitting this button. So now we're left with these 4 data points. The data point that is most relevant to me is the PSA 9, because we know that it was formerly an SGC 9. Where is it? Here it is. We know it was an SGC 9. If we're going to send it to any company, we're going to send it to a PSA and hope that it still keeps that 9 grade, because obviously PSA gets the highest resale value. And so this 5.95K sale happened on February the 2nd. And what's notable about that date is that that was the day of the Luka Doncic trade. You can see here, it was in the wee hours of February 1st, February 2nd. So this was a buy it now sale on February 2nd when hype was through the moon because of how surprising this was, this trade to the Lakers. Will that card get 5.95K now? It's unclear. If we send it to auction, would it get 5.95? Probably not. Probably closer to the low fives if I had to guess, right? And so if I'm thinking this through and working through it backwards, let's say we take this raw card, we send it to PSA for grading, we get back a 9. That 9 goes to auction. It sells for a low 5 based off of the fact that it used to be an SGC 9. It goes and gets a PSA 9. It goes to auction. It sells in the low 5,000s. After eBay fees, that's probably netting us in the high 4,000. So like, let's say it sells for 52, 5,300. After eBay fees, which takes about 10% off at this price range, now that's at about 47, 4,800. But you also run the risk of getting some grade lower than a 9 from PSA, right? What if you get an 8.5 or an 8? Well, then you're definitely not getting 5,300, 5,200 at auction. You're probably getting somewhere in the 4s, pretty close to this raw grade. And so that is the math that you have to do. What makes sense? So other people, though, are unlikely to have this information. We know that this card is likely to grade a 9. Other people out there might not have done this math, might not have done this research to figure out this card used to be an SGC 9. So they might look and see that this raw version sold for 4.25K in August, and maybe they think that they can get it for 3,500, 3,600. If that's the price to that it ends up selling at, that's not a bad sale to take a gamble on getting a PSA 9, because you buy it for 3,600, 3,700. You gamble on it where the upside is a PSA 9. You net 4,800. You have upside of about $1,000. The downside is you get a PSA 8. If you get a PSA 8, you probably sell it, and it probably comes back again around a PSA 8 would be, let's say, 3,600, and the raw version is 3,600. After eBay fees, you're probably losing about $300 if it nets to being a PSA 8. So the upside here is about $1,000 at a 3,600 purchase buying price or sales final sales price. The downside is losing 300. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good cost benefit. The benefit is possibly profiting $1,000. The downside is losing about $300 or $400. I think that's pretty good. And so I will likely throw in a bid. I'm going to leave that number to myself. I'm going to keep that to myself. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will put in a bid and hope that I get it. But I'm going to leave enough buffer where I think that no matter what happens, it'll be a win-win for me, and put in a number. Now, is it likely that I'm going to win this card? Probably not, because my bid is probably going to be pretty low. But that is the thought process that I'm taking for this card after it was highlighted by Neo Cards and Comics and Mike from the Junk Wax Hero. Is this helpful for you? Let me know in the comments down below whether or not you have access to a tool like Market Movers and are able to this type of search where you can look up an exact serial number to see what a raw card might have sold for as a graded card. Let me know your comments down below also about my approach and how I'm tackling this. I ultimately might not bid on this card. I'm not in love with the risk reward here. So ultimately, I might just say, I don't bid on this card, or it might be some obscenely low number where it doesn't even, like I don't even have a shot at it. But if you're wondering why I'm putting out this video now before the auction ends, I'm recording this late on Sunday night, early Monday morning, and the auction closes on Thursday. I'm probably going to put this up either on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday before the auction ends on Thursday, because honestly, I don't care that much about this card. I'm not that tied to it. If I don't get it, I'm not that sad about it. But I think this is an interesting case. So shout out to Neo Cards and Comics for bringing this to my attention. Would love to hear comments down below. Thank you as always for listening and watching. I'll talk to you all soon. Cheers.